Timing out strong showers and thunderstorms for tonight and into tomorrow morning.
There's nothing sweet about it. New York Live talks to the star of the new horror hit movie, Candyman. This is News 4 Now for September 8th. I'm Adam Cooperstein. And as if we needed more weather issues, there's a potential flood threat tonight, and that could make an already bad situation in the tri-state even worse. Many communities are still cleaning up from last week's deadly floods. Here's Maria with what we need to know.
Hi there, I'm Storm Team 4 meteorologist Maria LaRosa. As we head into this evening, the potential for showers and thunderstorms and heavy rain, maybe 1 to 2 inches of rainfall in this area, especially where we have the flash flood watch. Northern New Jersey, Rockland, Orange, Pike and Sullivan County included in that through late tonight because of all the rain that we've had recently. Not much going on early in the day, but it is picking up as we get into the late evening hours, especially toward midnight and early tomorrow morning. That's when we could see those showers and thunderstorms with the gusty winds, a tornado risk as well, especially for western New Jersey and into the Catskills and the Poconos. By the time it gets to the city, the Hudson Valley, scattered showers and thunderstorms, and eventually by tomorrow morning, things quiet down with just one last push of some rainfall for eastern Long Island heading into the midday. Otherwise, temperature-wise, we stay in the upper 60s, not only for the morning hours, into the low 70s for the midday.
A new school year has started in Paterson, but students are not back in the classroom because of Ida. Wednesday was the first day of school for students, but after several school buildings were damaged during last week's storm, Paterson's going to use remote learning for the first 3 days of the school year. We're told crews have been working around the clock, making repairs, so in-person school is only set to begin September 13th now.
I wasn't affected by the flood. It's just the water for me. It's not really clear, like a little, not clear.
A spokesman for the school district says the remote option is also to accommodate some of the families in the district that were displaced because of the storm. It's back to school in person for tens of thousands of Catholic school students across New York City. Students, faculty, and staff have to wear masks, and families are being asked to check students daily for COVID symptoms. But unlike public schools in the city, Catholic school staff are only encouraged to get a COVID vaccine. It is not a mandate. New York City's Department of Correction is calling out its own officers over sick calls. They say the staffing situation has gotten so bad at Rikers Island, the officers who do show up are forced to work double or triple shifts. This news comes after another inmate died Tuesday morning, the 9th so far this year. The Department of Correction commissioner says officers not showing up to work is to blame for it, and he says something has to be done about it.
2,795 times in the month of August, people didn't call and didn't come to work. So we are now looking at the most serious of those cases and beginning some pretty severe discipline.
The Correction Officers Union released a scathing statement saying City Hall is negligent and, quote, created this crisis.
At the end of the day, we had to come back and show him our love and show the respect, because he did reach back and he did touch some of our young people, and we appreciate him for that. So we're celebrating his life today.
In Brooklyn, dozens gathered for a candlelight vigil to remember actor Michael K. Williams, who passed away on Monday. The vigil was held in Flatbush Gardens Tuesday night. That's where Williams grew up. And community members released balloons and played scenes from some of his acting roles, which include the iconic character Omar in The Wire. Williams' body was found inside his apartment in Williamsburg. Law enforcement sources say he died of a possible drug overdose. Michael K. Williams was 54 years old. Well, the world-famous Macys Thanksgiving Day Parade is returning this year for real, with the public invited to watch it live. Last year's parade was dramatically downsized because of COVID. This year, crowds can line up the streets again to watch live musical performances, marching bands, and, of course, all those big balloons. This will be the Macys Thanksgiving Day Parade's 95th year. It's a new film that definitely doesn't sugarcoat. New York Live has the new twist on a horror classic, Candyman.
Local character, he walk around handing out candy to the neighborhood kids. One day, a couple of kids get razor blades in their candy. Police come around, they beat them, torture them, kill them right there on the spot. A couple weeks later, More razor blades and more candy. He been innocent.
This film has got so much more going on beyond the surface. So I would love for you to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. Thank you for bringing that up. I mean, we still want to honor the first film and, give a great horror story and give a great, excellent movie-going experience. But at the same time, I think it's a great time in the world to give something more thoughtful and to be provocative and creative. And, the story of Candyman is actually much deeper than a horror story. It's a different type of horror story that happens often in Black American history. And so I think that to merge the two together, this cult classic horror film with the history of violence against Black bodies in America and how that's been, traditionally perpetuated in all throughout history, I think that it's a fitting time to bring the two together, for a movie-going experience.
Are you watching this alone? Are you watching this at night?
No, I mean, I watched the trailer by myself in the dark, and I put the covers over my head to make it even more dark, to get a real blackout, and it was terrifying.
He had a purpose for you, to be another one of his terrible stories.
I guess he found me.
Your resume's insane. Aquaman, Greatest Showman, Watchmen, of course this. But I don't know how many people understand that you weren't always doing this.
I worked as a city planner. I studied architecture. I always wanted to be an architect my whole life. And I got laid off from my job and decided to give acting a try. And it all worked out for me. So I think I turned a negative into a positive. Tomorrow isn't guaranteed. So, why not go out and see what you can do?
And then go see this movie.
And then go see this movie.
Nearly 3,000 victims' names appear in the 9/11 memorial in Lower Manhattan, even though the remains of more than 1,100 of those victims have yet to be identified. But this 20th anniversary of the terror attacks will bring a sense of closure, at least for two families. News 4's Ida-Battered spoke to a daughter who, after 2 decades, can finally give her mom a proper burial.
For me, it was September 10th and the 12th. That's it.
Nakia Morgan has spent the last 20 years avoiding 9/11.
I close doors, turn off phones, turn off TV, everything.
But this year, the painful anniversary of her mother's death has now come front and center.
That's when they told me that there were remains found.
The New York City Medical Examiner's Office finally confirming Dorothy Morgan's DNA from one of the more than 20,000 fragments recovered from the World Trade Center.
It was a shock. It was a shock. I think that's the only thing I can say. It was really shocking. It's like you're reliving it all over again.
Morgan never imagined notification would come so many years later. Even though she knew her mother was gone, a small part of her always wondered.
Okay, maybe she had amnesia. She's out living a whole different life and she was happy.
Dorothy is the 1,646th person to be identified. Just a few days later, another man whose name has not been released per his family's wishes was also ID'd.
Yeah. Yes.
As for Morgan, she says the news, however jarring, has changed her.
I know I am going to go through the process of collecting the remains.
And for the first time in 20 years, she won't hide from the anniversary. Instead, she'll share in remembering her mother's beautiful memory.
I am finally going to go to a ceremony. I have not been.
Dorothy Morgan was 47 when she died. She spent her entire life on Long Island. She was the first person ID'd since 2019, but the medical examiner says expect more IDs to come with new DNA technology. On Long Island, Ida-Battered, News 4, New York.
Thank you so much for joining us here on News 4 Now. We'll see you right back here tomorrow.